our 2019 class. These guys just are wrapping up their freshman year. Obviously, a little bit season cut short, unfortunately for all of them. But what's up, Max? How you doing?
How we doing?
Great. Thanks to all three of you for logging in.
How we doing, fellas?
Got studying for exams right now, virtual learning.
Yep.
Yeah, we're finishing up this week, so.
Great. Well,
I
want to thank all of you for logging in. I'm going to go ahead and do some brief introductions, and then I'm just going to do a little Q&A with you guys. We've got, we'll have a couple hundred boys on the line here that all are dreaming about going to Maryland, Utah, and Notre Dame, and you can use your platform of influence that you all have in a very powerful way to be role models to the young kids in upstate New York and here in Florida. We'd love to keep working with you guys and help you all do that. So, if this summer, if you guys are interested in getting involved in coaching and giving back to the game, we'd love to talk about getting you involved in that as well, and make a little extra money too. So,
Sure.
Well, let me start with Jack Brennan. He was the first one to log in. Jack is played a lot in his freshman year at Maryland. From Irondequoit, right, Jack?
Yep.
And long string of talented Irondequoit players that have gone on to star at Maryland, and he played quite a bit in his freshman year. Real proud of the work that you've done, Jack, and you're carrying on the tradition of Coach Whipple and so many other really talented upstate players that have gone on to Maryland. Joe Walters as well. So hopefully one day we end up seeing you wearing number 1 for the Terps and doing great things. MJ McMahon, Sarasota boy, played at Cardinal Mooney and is at Utah as a freshman this year. I had a chance to watch MJ play a little bit in the Moe's Classic Utah against Jacksonville. Was real proud when I heard his name called. I know had at least one goal in that game.
Yes, sir.
And last but not least is Max Shallot. Was Under Armour All-American last year out at Notre Dame, which is known around the country for being a defensive stalwart year in and year out. And so we've got boys from 3 different high-level Division I programs, all with big-time sports and all with big-time academics too. So we're going to talk with you guys tonight about all of that. We want to talk about what it's like to be a student athlete at your school, what your daily schedule is like, maybe challenges and adjustments that you had to make academically, challenges and adjustments that you had to make athletically, and hopefully all the boys that are watching right now will learn as much as they can from you in regards to what that transition was like. So why don't we start with Jack? We'll just start in the order that you guys logged in. So, Jack, you show up at campus at the University of Maryland. You move into your dorm. How quickly do you start practicing? And then how quickly do you start classes? Do you have a couple days of freshman orientation? What was maybe the summer like heading into your freshman year in terms of what the staff sent to you to prepare you strength and conditioning wise? And then just take me through the first 2 weeks on campus at Maryland as a freshman.
So I guess I'll start with the summer. So I think I got a couple days after graduation, they sent us just a packet of workouts, nothing crazy. It was mostly body weight workouts, and that would go – so we had that for 4 weeks. And then for the next however long summer went after that, we would get our strength conditioning both. So at first they didn't really have us running. But then for the couple of weeks leading up till we got to campus is when we got the conditioning packet, which was quite fun.
No, it's interesting, Jack, is right now we've got a strength and conditioning program with Powertrain that the boys all have the option of doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's all body weight manual resistance workouts, right? So more kind of circuit training. just get cut up and fit and functional athletic strength development. And, it's incredible how effective that can all be. And hopefully you young guys that are watching, it's the type of thing that if you're in the 4th grade and you're watching this, or you're a 2020 or 2021 that's on the verge of going to play college lacrosse, that functional athletic strength development that you get from doing, body weight workouts, is really applicable to just being super fit and being able to hit the practice field in the fall when you ultimately do get to college, and being able to make plays and be athletic out on the field. So you get to Maryland, and take us through moving into the dorms and settling in, and then the start of classes and what your fall ball was like.
So we got there towards the end of August. I think we moved in the 26th or 25th or 26th. And so we got to move in. All the guys on the team helped us move in. And then we had that weekend where we had a team meeting that Friday, and then a captain's practice that Saturday morning. So we started out basically right as we stepped on campus. And then Monday classes started. So we didn't really have like a syllabus week where you just really had no classes and was orientation. So basically just jumped right into everything. And
Hold it right there,
lacrosse-wise-
Jack. I'm going to come right back to you in a second. MJ, I spoke to your mom today, and I know you're studying for exams right now. She's like, how long is the call going to be? MJ's getting ready for exams. I was like, we'll cap it at 45 minutes. Tell me a little bit about the adjustment from high school to college academically, right? And you're at Utah's strong academic school, but it is a state school. Are you in some big classes? And how do you need to balance, maybe you're coming from Cardinal Mooney, private Catholic school in Sarasota, where the teachers can stay on top of you a lot more, right? If you're not getting the job done in the classroom, you're not slipping through the cracks. Your parents are hearing about people know. When you're at a bigger school and at a bigger college campus, then you guys have academic advising staff, so your coaches know if you're falling behind. But at the same time, can you talk with some of these young guys that are watching right now about the transition from balancing maybe being forced to do things to, like in high school where you just can't skip a class, you have to show up to school every morning, to college where you could skip a class and people don't know until you start falling behind on your test scores and things, and the self-discipline that you've needed to have in that, and maybe just the transition.
Yeah, so it was pretty tough at first. I mean, I obviously, like you mentioned, I went to a smaller Catholic school. So it was nice always having teachers looking out for you, stuff like that. And then getting to college, it was just a tough transition to manage all the time that you have to fill throughout your day. And these classes, maybe you in high school you have them 5 days a week. In college you have them 2 or 3 days, or 2 or 3 days a week. So it was super tough in that aspect where you have to stay on top of things, because if you don't, those days will compound and those classes will compound, where those 2 classes you had per week, you could fall a whole week behind, and it's tough to stay on track. But I'd motivate everybody that's listening to even say hi to your professor on the first day of class, or introduce yourself, and just build that relationship with anybody that you can, and just simply say hello, nice to meet you, I'm looking forward to this class, and know that there's people out there to help you if you're willing just to put yourself out there and just to ask. And if you need help, don't be shy to say, hey, I need help. Like, it's going to be tough, but if you just stay on top of it and stay ahead of your work, you'll be fine.
Yeah. MJ, some of those points you made are really important ones. Hopefully some of the 2020s are watching right now. They're going to be heading off to school next year. And I always used to I coached college lacrosse for 12 years, and I used to tell the guys, go sit in the front row and get to know your professors, and just show up to every class. There might be some bad days where you're exhausted from your routine, and you're not 100% dialed in class. But if you make it to every single class, you're going to guarantee that the kids that struggle and that fail out and that don't keep up are the kids that get in bad habits of skipping classes, and then they show up to a class and there's a test and they didn't even know, like, that they're not paying attention to the calendar when papers are due and when tests are being held. That was always something that I knew that there'd be days where I'm just spent. I've got a finance exam at 4:00, and I'm maybe getting through an 11 and 1 o'clock class, and I'm almost prepping for my finance exam at 4:00.
Yeah.
But I'm going to all those classes and getting to every single class. You know when everything's coming at you. You know when you have a test. You know when quizzes are coming up, and you know when your papers are due. If you do that, you're going to guarantee yourself a baseline level of success where you're at the very least getting B's. You need to go above and beyond that to get A's and to be a dean's list type of a student. But if you show up to every class, you're not going to be overwhelmed and be struggling to, like, be eligible and to stay in school and to get the grades that you need. You got to go above and beyond that to do more than that. But that's a really good point that MJ made about being proactive. And honestly, in high school, you young guys that are in high school, and even our 4th and 5th graders that are watching this right now, do the same thing in your elementary school classes. Do the same thing in middle school and high school. Go out of your way to be proactive. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I played lacrosse at Notre Dame. Like Max, who we'll start to talk with right now, they had a great academic resources center. I knew I was going to struggle with my statistics class. I was a finance major there. And so before I even took my first class, I reached out and had a tutor set up like every Tuesday night. So every Tuesday night, I'd meet at the little Fortune Center, and we do all my stats homework for the week. And so before I even fell behind, there'd be times where she'd be like, all right, you got this, just keep going. And she'd do her homework. And then when I had questions, it was there. And it was a way to kind of insert some self-governance and some self-discipline and some routine into my week. We're going to talk with the guys right now. We'll turn it over to Max here. We'll talk a little bit about what your weekly schedule is like and what the flow of a day would be like. Because it is a grind as a Division I athlete and lacrosse player. It creates incredible structure, though, that is incredibly advantageous too. Max, why don't you take us through fall of freshman year at Notre Dame, the number of times you practiced a week, your lifting, the training table and meals, and then just take us through like what a normal day or week would look like, and how that was a struggle or not a struggle. I loved it because it just forced discipline. It was like being in the Army. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Max?
So we started practice probably 2 weeks into the year, and it'd be 2 lifts in two conditioning days a week. So we do a Monday, Wednesday lift, Tuesday, Thursday conditioning. And that went in for a couple weeks till we started playing lacrosse for fall ball. And then we would practice Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and we lift Wednesday and Friday. But like freshman year, every freshman is required to take a study hall, which is 2 hours a night, and it's 3 nights a week. And the only way to get out of that is to get higher than 3.0 the first quarter of the semester, which, being a freshman, that's hard to do, especially with the majority of the kids doing business. The business school is quite tough at Notre Dame. But as we get further into fall, we'd start practicing more like 3 times a week. And meanwhile, every home game for football, that means we have an inter-squad scrimmage the morning of the football game. So it'd be like we'd come at like 9:30 in the morning. We'd play at 10 to like 12. And then from there, you go out to the tailgate before the football game. which it was usually a really fun time. But this past fall, our fall scrimmages, we played Princeton and Colgate in DC, which is a really cool experience that like we got to go out. We had a lot of free time today. We practiced once in the 4 days we were there. But yeah, we had a lot of free time. We got to see the museums and stuff. And yeah, I mean, Rob Simpson's our equipment manager, and he does a really good job with us in preparing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, all of you guys are from schools that travel real well, right? In big time conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what your experience was like. Let's start with Jack, and we'll kind of go through. If there was a moment, like I remember playing at Notre Dame and being on the practice field, looking over and seeing the Golden Dome every day practice and being like, man, I need to pinch myself. You know, Jack, I'm sure there's moments where you're in Burge Stadium and you're like walking out on the field, touching the turf, and you're like, I can't believe I'm here doing this, about to, go and start against the top 10 Division I team. And MJ, I'm sure there's times where you're looking into the mountains and you're like, man, this setting is amazing. And obviously you're all part of schools with Division I football programs and major conferences, and Notre Dame's an independent but a big time program. So can you tell me, let's just go from Jack to MJ to Max. We'll get to lacrosse adjustment at the end, but I want you guys to talk a little bit about the social discipline that you needed to have, because you're at big time football schools, and your first week on campus, literally there's football games happening, right? I mean, and can you give some advice to maybe the 2020 boys that are going to be freshmen next year, and talk a little bit about just the self-control? Because you make one mistake, you make a bad decision, partying, you do something stupid, you get into trouble, you mistreat a girl, God forbid, you get into a fight or you disrespect a girl, and you get in a lot of trouble, and it's over. Everything you worked for your entire life is over. Can you talk a little bit about, Jack, we'll start with you and we'll go to MJ and then Max, just the decisions that you have to make when you're going through that fall of freshman year? Like, friends are going out on a Thursday night, I'm not going out. I got to be fresh for class and for workouts tomorrow, and and the balance of all of that. Jack, how did you tackle that, and what was it like? And
so obviously, I mean, you're going into college, and it's supposed to be like the most 4 fun years of your life. So the biggest advice that we got as freshmen in our first meeting was, don't come in hot. So like, don't come in thinking like you're the big shot from somewhere, because now that you're at a big school, it doesn't really matter that you were like the nation's best player. Everyone's the same now. So just making like smart choices, knowing yourself and being aware of others around you, I think is really important, and just making sure that you're just keeping your head on your shoulders and you're just being smart.
MJ, you're at Utah, out west, mountains, big football game on a Saturday. You got incredible workload in the classroom, and and rigorous like schedule athletically and academically, and how do you keep yourself from making mistakes and from going down the wrong path? Because there's nothing worse than working your whole life and then getting an opportunity like this and then squandering it. What are some of the things that motivated you to, and some of the self-disciplines that you had that I think these younger guys can learn from?
Yeah, one thing I always look for whenever I go into a new environment is just who I want to be like. And I met one of the captains on our team, Jimmy Perkins, and he kind of took me under his wing, and we kind of had similar styles.
Jimmy Perkins fan.
Yeah, of course.
I know Jimmy really well.
Just a
incredible story. Keep going, MJ. I've got chills that you're saying his name.
Yeah, and he's just right from the start. We kind of just had we just bonded kind of well, and he just said you got to realize how much effort, how much time, how much sacrifice you got to get here. Don't make one stupid mistake to sacrifice that, or throw it all away. And that kind of just hit me. He said that the first weekend we had a captain's practice just like Jack did. And I kind of like took me by surprise, and I kind of thought about that, and I was like, you know what, he's right. I tried to just – and then going there forward, I tried to just – whatever Jimmy was doing, I was trying to do. And I would just – don't try to mimic someone. I'm not trying to say that, but if you find someone that you can look up to and know that whatever they're doing brings success, I would just say if you're in a new environment and you don't know how to react, you don't – like everyone's different when they get into a new environment. I would just say find someone that you like, find someone that you can grow with, and just honestly just stay committed to them and stay on their path, and you'll be just fine.
Yep. You know, that's incredible advice, not just for the boys going off to college next year, but the boys that are transitioning from 8th grade to high school, right? So our 2024s, they're going to be freshmen in high school next year. Similar things. You're going to be exposed to temptations. You're going to be exposed to the upperclassmen that are maybe partying, doing things that they shouldn't do, and sacrificing their goals and dreams for it. You know, when I got to college, I felt like this wild sense of urgency not to let my parents down, you know, not to let my family down. Like your parents, Jack, MJ, Max, like they worked their entire lives to put you in the position to have all your talents, gifts, and abilities developed. They're spending all their disposable income to send you to play for Sweetlax, flying you all over the country, you know, to get you in front of these college coaches. And now you've got that opportunity to make the most of your gifts and everything that they've given you for 18 years of your life. And if that doesn't weigh heavily on your mind, you know, as a 18-year-old, if you can't have gratitude for that and have that in the back of your mind on a Friday night or a Saturday night, or when your buddies are going out during the week and you just know those are habits you don't want to get into, then you've got problems with your moral compass and your conscience, you know? And I just think it's really important for you, for players in our program, anywhere, to empathize with the sacrifices their parents are making. And if that's not enough motivation to make the right decisions and do the right things, then nothing's going to be. So Max, you get out to Notre Dame, and, you know, their huge football game, they're playing Clemson on TV, whatever, your first home game. Who was the first home game this year?
This year, I have to say it was a small school. I think it was maybe Northwestern.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
You were in the weight room lifting weights. You weren't at the game. But now you get thrown into that environment. How do you balance making friends and wanting to connect with people, and at the same time, you know, knowing that you're going to be at an academically rigorous school, and that you're at a team with a long history of great defense, knowing that it's not going to come easy and you're going to need to earn everything that you get academically and athletically, and need to be really disciplined in your decisions and socially. I mean, what was that like?
So like what you quickly come to realize when you become a college athlete, especially a college athlete playing on scholarship, is the reason you're at the school is because the team invested in you. And that's when you start to realize at this point it's more of a job than a hobby like it used to be. I mean, you have to really put in the work. But that really comes easy once you realize you have 50 plus teammates all going through the same stuff at the same time, school, like workouts, lifts. And once you all realize you're all going through the same stuff, you all start buying in to the same goal. And it's all 50 guys working for the same goal. That's something special.
Yeah. So the thing that I enjoyed, and honestly, I think a lot of Division I athletes, when they graduate and they leave, they struggle with, is that extreme structure that you have, right? You've got your class schedule. You know where you need to be for your lifts, for your workouts, your meals. I mean, I used to, it flows like you're basically like running like a machine, in a good way, right?
Oh, sorry, but like personally, I bet MJ and Jack have the same thing. We have like an app where our whole day schedule is listed. It has the time, what it is, where it's at, how long the duration is, and then the next thing shows up on your schedule. And your every day is planned like this. So I mean, it's a blessing to have that ability to know exactly what's going on in such a chaotic environment. But yeah, they do keep up with that really well.
We're going to go one question for everybody, and then we're going to get into talking about lacrosse, right, and the transition lacrosse-wise. Jack, what's been your toughest class this year, and maybe your most enjoyable class? And are there any classes that you struggled with that you needed to get extra help? And then what kind of services were provided as a student athlete, to get extra academic support?
My toughest class was definitely math. I struggled pretty bad in it the first month or two, and so I was able to get a tutor. So our academic office provides tutors for any class possible. It was really nice because I did the tutor with another kid on my team, so it just made it easier and kind of took the awkwardness.
Jack, where would you meet your tutor? I'm just trying to give the guys a little bit of a layout of the understanding of some of the services that that schools have got for student athletes. So would you meet them? Is it taking place in like an academic learning resource center for student athletes? Where are you meeting and working with your tutor?
So our academic offices and like where study hall would take place is in the Xfinity Center, which is our like basketball arena. So we would meet them there's just a big room where all the tutors would be, and so you're just in there with a bunch of other student athletes and tutors and just working on whatever you need.
Yeah. Well, what point in this semester did you realize that you needed to get a math tutor?
Pretty quickly. After my first test,
yeah,
I was like, all right, yeah, it's time to. I went and talked to my academic advisor about it, and she was like, yeah, we definitely should.
Yeah,
buckle down and get this going.
That's like a little thing that's real important for you, even in the high school guys in high school, and the guys that are going to be going into college in the next year. Have the important key to becoming the best version of yourself and being the most successful lacrosse player, being the most successful student, being the most successful person, and as a doctor, lawyer, businessman, or anything, is self-awareness. And for Jack to recognize that, like, hey, I'm struggling, I'm falling behind, like I gotta reach out for some help and get people to assist me with this class it's just really important sometimes to just know that, all right, I'm gonna humble myself here and admit that, like, I gotta get to be proactive on that stuff. Don't wait until the final exam. You get in the hole the first week or two, you realize that you're not picking up the material. It's not the type of class that your brain is programmed to be successful in. You just go right away and reach out to your coaches, reach out to your academic advisors, reach out to your parents if you're in high school, and get the help before you fall too far behind. MJ, how was the transition for you academically?
Academically, I wouldn't say any of the material was too tough. It was just it was just so different from high school, having that 5 days a week. A lot of teachers in college will make I'd say the teaching lessons shorter and not as detailed. So you have to have a basic knowledge before you go into the class. And we have 4 hours of study hall every week, and we have called the Burbage Center. It's the athlete academic center. And you log into there, and there's a bunch of empty rooms where you can go into study and just be on your own. There's computers, all the resources needed. There's tutors. You can have a walk-in tutor. You can schedule a tutor. It's really nice in that aspect where there's so many resources to help you. And I thought I was doing well, and all of a sudden I take a business analytics class that's on Excel, computer. I'm not really the best at it. And within like 2 weeks, I noticed I'm struggling really hard. So I just go to a walk-in tutor. I'm like, I never had a tutor in my life. And right away, it's evident how much they help you. And from there on, any problems I had, I'd text my academic advisor to schedule a tutor with whatever classes coming up with exams. I had tutors lined up, and just with all the academic resources, I never wanted that to go to waste. And I know I'd be mad at myself if I looked down and got a grade I shouldn't have because I didn't just tell myself that I needed a tutor. So
Yep.
I just always go in.
Yep. I mean, again, just proactive self-awareness, guys. If you're struggling, don't feel like you gotta figure it out all on your own. And Max, slightly different question. What was your favorite class so far at Notre Dame? What did you enjoy the most, and what about it did you enjoy so much?
That's a hard one. A lot of them are tough, but I don't enjoy the tough ones. I would probably say philosophy. It was, with a school being Catholic based, it's cool to see a class that is able to question that in a way.
Yep.
But I also enjoyed management a lot. Our professor was one of the founders of the Keurig coffee, like the coffee thing. Yeah. So he was like, he played basketball at Notre Dame, but he made millions off of that, and he just retired and came back here to teach. But he's a really good guy. He has a lot of good connections and helps the class a lot.
It's great. Yeah, so a lot of the schools that our boys go off to are liberal arts schools, and what the term liberal arts means is you're going to get a general education in a lot of different things in the process of moving up towards your major, okay? So hypothetically, Max might be a management major, right? He loved his management class. Maybe he's going to focus on management within the business school at Notre Dame, but he's going to have to take some classes in philosophy and in the humanities, history. At a school like Notre Dame, he's going to need to take some theology, but you don't need to be Catholic to go to Notre Dame or Holy Cross or Georgetown or these schools. You could be of any faith background. Actually, they actually enjoy having students of other faith backgrounds because of the way that creates a more diverse conversation in the classrooms, right? They don't want everybody to be from the same exact background. So those philosophy classes at Notre Dame were like my favorite classes as well, So occasionally we've had a student athlete look at some of the top schools in the country, and some of them are Catholic universities: Holy Cross, Fairfield, Providence, Notre Dame, Georgetown. The list goes on and on. Loyola College in Baltimore, St. Joe's in Philly. You don't need to be Catholic to go to those schools, and you're not going to feel awkward or out of place if you're not. Okay.
They don't. They don't push religion at all. They require 2 semesters of a theology course, but theology doesn't mean just strictly Bible study. I mean, the first one is definitely more that way, but meeting a requirement means you have to meet the the genre of the class or the subject. But with each subject comes a lot of different varieties of classes. I mean, for one of mine, it was a college seminar class, and they had some things on like business, and they had some things on language, but then they had one called death, the philosophy of death. There's just a lot of different things you can try and still get credit for towards your majors and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I'm really fired up to hear that, Max, that you enjoy that philosophy class. Liberal arts educations, people have said that there's an education that teaches you how to live, and then there's the education that teaches you how to make a living, right? And the goal and mission of a liberal arts education is to do a little bit of both. Those philosophy classes and all the electives involved in that, they teach you how to live. And then obviously you get into management, you get into your focus in your major, and hopefully you're learning how to make a living, and you want to try to get both of those things out of your college education. So honestly, I'm really enjoying this conversation so far, and we haven't even dived into a lot of the lacrosse stuff so far. I'm going to turn it over to Jack. So, Jack, you come in, you're a freshman. You know, Coach Tillman's telling you not to come in like you're a hot shot. And you come in and over the course of your freshman year, do what a lot of kids are not able to do at the Division I level, which is earn a lot of playing time as a freshman. Can you tell me how you moved through the fall season into the spring, what your approach was, what you needed to adjust to, and ultimately, like how you felt like you personally earned the trust of your teammates and your coaches to come in and, you know, you play as a freshman, you're taking time away from an upperclassman. It's, you know, it's something that doesn't happen very often, especially at a school like Maryland. So if you could give us that just journey through your freshman year, which was unfortunately cut short, but the journey of kind of earning it and seeing time as a freshman, which most people don't get a chance to do.
Yeah, so when we started off fall ball, it was a lot different. I was pretty bad at the start of fall ball. I think just the adjustment with the speed of the game and just making sure, like, because I mean now you're with guys that are bigger, faster, stronger than you. It's just the adjustment period took me like a week or two. But then as we went through fall ball, I was able to work out and just get stronger and faster, which helped out a lot. And I think leaving fall ball, I wasn't really in the mix for anything. I was probably going to be on the third line midfield and not really high up on the third line. So during the winter break, I worked out, shot, played wall ball just about every day. And coming back to campus on January 4th, we started practice that day, and I had probably the best practice of my year so far. And so I started gaining some momentum, and we had a couple injuries that helped me move up. And I think just when it came down to it, at the start of the season, I was able just to build relationships with guys like Anthony DeMeo and Bubba Fairman, that they trusted me to play with them and be able to make an impact.
Jack, one of the things I'm interested to hear you talk about, and it's very difficult to come in and play anywhere as a freshman, let alone a team coming off of runs where they've been winning national championships. Can you talk about the confidence factor? Because you have to come in humble, right? Coach Tillman's saying don't come in hot and arrogant. You got to come in humble, but the only way you're going to make plays and get on the field as a freshman is if you do have confidence in yourself. Can you talk maybe about it sounds like as you tell your story and your journey through freshman year, you probably were very humble and adjusting in the fall when something clicked there when you came back for the start of spring practice after your winter break, and you just seized opportunity and attacked it with confidence. Can you talk a little bit about your mindset and there?
Yeah, well, I knew just every day I had to work hard, which is what I did. And when you're winter, we really had nothing else to do but lacrosse, so I was really able to focus on just improving and making sure I get better.
Let's talk Jack, for a second right now. I just want to – your winter break, you're back in upstate New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you working out and who are you working out with? Because we see this all the time. You go away in the summer or you go away in the winter and you don't have that discipline routine that your coach is putting you through. And there's a lot of kids that just slack off there. And that's where you make your gains on kids. Everybody's working hard when Coach Tillman's on the field, making you work hard. But you're back in upstate New York in the winter. This is where you're catching guys that are in front of you, separating yourselves from guys that are there with you. It's that extra work when Coach Tillman's not making you do it oftentimes that leads to the difference between good and great, right? So what exactly did you do this past winter? Where were you working out and who'd you work out with?
So I'm fortunate enough to have an older sister who plays Division I lacrosse. And so I would work out with her. We'd just go to the local gym and I would just do the workouts that we were given from our strength conditioning coach. And I'd go 4 days a week. I'd go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, I would go and run after. So we would do 300s.
Yeah.
And so I'd just.
What did you do lacrosse? Were you able to do anything lacrosse wise? Obviously, you can't get outside in upstate in January and December. But
actually, we had surprisingly not much snow.
Yeah.
During December and into January, which was really nice, and so it allowed me to still be able to just go up to my high school and play on our field there. And so I was fortunate because the snow came heavy after I got back to school.
Yeah. Great. Well, Jack, you made a good point there about all the strength and conditioning and the work there. It's something that we're seeing all of our players right now. We're seeing kids that are making the biggest gains. Everybody that's playing Sweetlax right now, they've already got really good stick skills. You know, you wouldn't have made the team if you didn't have good stick skills. But we're seeing some boys that are making gains and separating themselves from the pack are the ones that are really working hard in the weight room and strength and conditioning and getting bigger, stronger, and faster. Yeah, MJ, why don't we transition to that, right? Because you're coming out of a rock star senior year at Cardinal Mooney, and all of a sudden you get to Utah, and we're talking lacrosse now. It's just not as easy to run by a defenseman and turn the corner. Everybody's fast. Everybody is, the speed of the game is just at another level. Can you talk about your transition from being one of the top attackmen in Florida to all of a sudden being out at Utah and, the speed of the game adjustments that you had to make?
Yeah, so I had a pretty similar situation to Jack, honestly, where I came into the fall and I was super humble. I knew we had 3 senior attackmen coming in. I wasn't really expecting much playing time at the beginning. I knew my time will come. But other than that, I was struggling with the altitude and my overall just conditioning. I thought I was there, but it's just a whole nother level in college. And I soon realized that. And honestly, the fall was pretty tough for me. I knew I had the stick skills, but I also realized that if I don't have the confidence, then the stick skills really don't matter. And that's what I lacked in that fall semester and that fall ball. So it was super tough just getting adjusted to being so far from home and being the main man in high school to now being just kind of in the middle of the pack. But like Jack said, that winter break, I kind of just made a pact to myself that I'd come conditioned. We had a run test. I made a pact that I'll pass that run test. I'd hit the wall and I'd shoot as much as I can. And I saw my trainer like 4 days a week. So I really just made a commitment to myself that I'm going to do whatever I can to get on the field. And come springtime, I just kept moving up in the depth chart and just kept going up and having better practices. And one of our senior attackmen got hurt, and that's when coach was playing me and this other freshman, and he just gave me a couple minutes in the Air Force game, which is our second game, and he just loved the way I played. And ever since then, I kind of just got more and more minutes every game, and just, I don't know, I just kept with it. I know how important confidence is going to be, and like you said, that everybody has stick skills, but it's where that off-season training and when everyone's settled where you can really gain that advantage and just keep grinding.
Yeah. We'll turn it over to Max here in a minute here, but you make a really good point there, MJ, about you didn't know when your opportunity was going to come. You had 3 seniors ahead of you. Somebody gets injured and that opportunity comes. I think this has been Tom Brady on talking to Peyton Manning, right? I don't know if you guys saw that video like a few weeks back, and he's talking about that moment when the guy ahead of him got injured. I don't know, it was Drew Bledsoe or whoever it was. He's like, you never know when you're going to get that chance again. Like, you need to go out there. He's got one series of downs, you know. Yeah, it might have just been a random thing. Drew Bledsoe's helmet strap was off, and he needed to fix it. You got one set of downs to get out there and to take advantage of that opportunity and run with it. Jack talked about it a little bit. MJ talked about it a little bit. Injury here or there. You can't go to these schools, guys, and just be happy with being there. You got to go and be hungry, be patient, be humble, but you've got to show up every day and work as hard as you can so that when that opportunity does come, you're ready to make the most of it, you know. And you know, Tom Brady is a great example of somebody that, you know, that he got his one opportunity and he never looked back. And, you know, that sounds a lot like the situation Jack and MJ were both in. You know, and Max, go, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, you're at Notre Dame. The last 20 years of college lacrosse, they've had the best defense in the country generally, if you were to look at it over the last 20 years. And I played there, and I was the director of operations there for 3 years, and saw inside, you know, the way the coaching staffs put their lineups together. And so much of it is understanding team defense in the off-ball game. You know, you can't just be a freak athlete that can cover. You need to really be a cerebral player on defense and understand the angles of the goal, what you're really trying to defend, and understanding how to play team defense. You're one of our first Under Armour All-Americans to come out of Florida and head off to Notre Dame. And what are the biggest adjustments that you had to make, and what were some of the biggest things that you learned, the biggest challenges? You go in there and you're player of the year in the state of Florida, and now you got to start all over again. You got guys like Jack Keelty ahead of you that are Tewaaraton candidates and Schmeiser Award candidates. What do you do in that situation where you just have to go in and be ready to learn? And what were your challenges, and what did you learn the most from your year?
I'd have to start off with, I mean, my fall did not go as planned per se. I had got an X-ray and it didn't come back good with my back, and I learned I was born without one of my vertebrae, which is weird. But so I had to miss 5 months in the fall. So that set me back coming spring. But I mean, I kind of came in at the bottom of the totem pole, and I wasn't really able to show much, so I stayed there. And going into the spring season, you realize that, I mean, you got All-Americans that come in high school, and they never get to play on the field. They'll never touch the field, and you think it's crazy, but the only thing that separates those players from the people that are out there making a difference is the work you put in when you weren't playing. And that's the only way to keep going. I mean, that you keep that in the back of your mind every day. And so as my spring went on, I realized that it's just all I have to do is keep working. And again, my time will come, and all I can control is myself and how much effort I put in. And I mean, our spring ended early, but again, as I keep working through the fall, our summer into the fall, I mean, it's what you put the work you put in when nobody's watching, for sure.
Yeah. Max, I'm going to ask you all to talk about this, but Max, we'll ask you first, and then we'll go around the horn, and then we'll make some just kind of closing points and comments. This has been an awesome session with you guys, and you know, we're going to save it, archive it, and send it out to all our 2020s, because this is going to be like gold for them to hear as they get ready to go off to college in the fall. But Max, talk a little bit about film study on defense. You know, I know at Notre Dame, you know, spent a lot of time breaking down film and just trying to learn how to be in the right spots off ball, and the difference between a little angle here, a little bit of a bad approach. When you get to college and everybody's making you pay for it, you're not scraping the passing lane enough, and you got an All-American attackman making the feed that you're just, you know, not gonna see usually until you get to the level that you're at right now. Can you talk a little bit about team defense, things that you learned or had to just become more hyper aware of, and the process and art of watching film? We're watching film with a lot of these our guys right now, and we think it's helping develop their lacrosse IQ, and it's going to help them be better high school and ultimately college lacrosse players. But tell us a little bit about watching film at Notre Dame and what you learned about team defense.
Okay, yeah, sir. So I'd say coming in, as the competition and the competitiveness increases from high school to college, the room for error just decreases and decreases. And so you have to realize that like each move really does matter. Each step matters. And in film, there's not a mistake that goes unlooked. They realize every bad step you took, where your angle's bad, they break it down very in depth for you. And even like the coaches will call you in after just to go over yourself, like your footing, everything, your stance. So it's a lot to take in as a freshman. I mean, you're learning new stuff every day. You're learning a lot of new things every day. But like, again, I had Jack Keelty. He was the best role model I could ask for from my perspective. There's no better leader than he was, but he was always – our senior class was always so good about teaching us and staying after practice to teach us just to get all the freshmen acclimated, because it's a big change that everyone must go through.
Yeah. So Max pointed out a mentor that he had, Jack Keelty. MJ pointed one out that he had in Jimmy Perkins. Jack Brennan, who was a mentor, upperclassman that you looked to and were like, all right, that's a role model I want to emulate and I want to be like him. And because your guys clearly, you've pointed out that makes a difference for you, right? That leadership within your team and having somebody that you can say, I want to be like that guy. Jack, who was that for you at Maryland this year?
Mine was probably the Florida boy, Jared Bernhardt. Just the way he carried himself. He's not like a very loud person. He's pretty quiet. But you wouldn't be able to tell that he was, honestly, in my opinion, the best player in the country. Just the way he goes about things and how hard he works. And I mean, there's no reason for him to be with how good he is, but he just strives to be better every day, which is something I can really look up to. And just on and off the field, he knows who he is and what he has to do to get better.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know all three of the guys that you guys have pointed out as your mentors. Jimmy Perkins, MJ, he's from Pittsburgh,
Yes,
Pennsylvania,
sir.
and I was recruiting him to Wheeling Jesuit University and almost got him. And Robert Morris snagged him, and I was like, this kid nobody knows about him. He's a diamond in the rough, and just had crazy instinctive speed, but also was a incredible, humble, quiet, just worker. And Jack Keelty from Del Barton School, I got to know him and his mom well. When I left Notre Dame to grow the game of lacrosse in Jamaica and Uganda, I coached the freshman team at Del Barton for a year just to give back to the game and have fun with that. And Jack Keelty was a freshman. I'll never forget texting Jerry Byrne and being like, Jerry, we got a phenom coming up here at Del Barton. But Jack was the classiest, humblest, nicest kid, much the same way Jack Brennan you just described. Your role model at Maryland. These are guys that are among the best players in the country that don't act like it, right? And so it's a good way to kind of wrap up the call is just, you don't want excellence by association. You want excellence, in your individual contributions to the team, and you want to be great as an individual. But all three of those guys are just classy, humble servant leaders, right? So I'll pick three guys that are great role models to follow. There's other guys, that you don't want to pick, that'll lead you into trouble. I think really good advice for our 2020s that are getting ready to go to college next year. we do have, if anybody wants to chime in, we've got a quick couple minutes for Q&A, and then we'll wrap up. And you guys were great. This was one of the most enjoyable webinars we've had so far. It's great to see you guys thriving and being successful in the classroom and on the field. And we've got this archived too, so we're gonna make sure we send this out to all the boys that are heading off to school next year. What you guys have coming up on your exams? Are you guys done? You got some virtual learning that you're doing and taking some final exams from?
I got 4 essays due tomorrow, 2 due Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I had 2 exams due today. I got a 1,500 paper due tomorrow, 1,500 word, and then I got a 2.5 hour econ final coming up. So just
Great.
staying with it though, just finishing it piece by piece. You'll get it done eventually.
Great.
I'm still just in regular school, so
Yeah. Okay.
we got like I think this week and then next week and then finals will start. But
Great.
yeah, so I'm not really
Well,
too
guys,
busy right now.
we really want to thank you for your time and giving back to our program and all the boys that are in it. You guys are. We got one call coming. One question coming in from Brady Getz. What's up, Brady? What's your question for the guys? Let me see if Brady types in a question. But this was great, guys. We really appreciate it. We're really proud of you, and it's awesome to see you guys being successful at the next level. Brady Getz just wanted to say thank you. We've got a lot of guys typing in thank you. Really enjoyed all the advice, guidance, and feedback you gave them. So you guys stay healthy and safe with your families. Finish up your schoolwork well, and then we'd love to get you guys involved in our programs this summer. We've got local programs in the Tampa area, MJ and Max. We got stuff going on in Jacksonville area, and love to get you guys out to the mini camps, talk with the guys. Jack, obviously, we've got an intern program up in upstate. You guys are all doing a great job representing the program and being a role model for these boys. So I want to thank you guys. Have a great night and good luck on your exams.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having
Thanks,
us.
all. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
let
you.
us know if you ever need anything. Thank you. Stay safe. All right.